Tennessee's fans showed up.
Yes. Yes, they did.
The football team, however, not very competitive. That was really impressive from Ohio State. They absolutely whooped the Vols 42-17. And I'm just going to be real. This is not how I thought that game was going to go.
You and
I
me both.
thought I thought Tennessee's defense would give Ohio State's offensive line, who is missing two key starters, thought they'd give that group trouble. Thought it'd be a lower scoring game. That did not happen. Ohio State's offense, they came out and they pushed it down the field. Will Howard was great. Jeremiah Smith is just ridiculous. And it was explosive play after explosive play after explosive play in the passing game, in the run game. And Tennessee they just never had a chance.
No, they did not. Uh, Will Howard was dropping dimes. That dude made some freaking throws. Now, he threw one of them out of the top of the stadium and came down, and I was he looked fantastic. That's the best I've ever seen him play.
Remember when we told him to his face to move to tight end?
I don't remember that as far as I'm
I did
concerned.
it. I did it multiple times and had to apologize to him live on radio. That happened. That happened. I still think he would have ended up being a good tight end, but no, he
In our
is.
defense, you've got to go watch some early K State stuff, which is a great example. Don't make your mind up on players early on. You could develop a lot, and he has.
The question coming into that game, I thought was, hey, is Ohio State going to utilize the wide receivers? The last time we saw them, they were trying to essentially beat Michigan at their own game. Did not go well.
No.
And right from the jump, they came out slinging that thing. I mean, that early touchdown to Jeremiah Smith was beautiful. On their second drive, the big one to Ibuka was just a massive play. What was it? Their first three drives, it was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Yeah. Fast.
And they were pushing it down the field, explosive plays. I mean, Ohio State could generate all of them, and Tennessee could generate none of them.
Yep.
That was a whooping. And did anyone know Dylan Sampson was hurt?
I did not.
I was unaware. I probably would have thought differently about the game if I knew that Tennessee's star player and arguably the best running back in the country had a bad hammy coming into the game.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I think that whole situation is going to lead to injury reports for college football playoff games.
I could see
I
that being the case. That was not good. Was not good at all. I mean,
I
I, I did. I could obviously see a case where Ohio State won the football game. See a case where Tennessee won the football game. Not alone that I thought it was going to be the most competitive, the tightest football game, and it was anything but that. It was a beatdown from the first word go.
is it possible that getting embarrassed by Michigan was exactly what Ohio State needed?
It looked like it. I mean, they could have started, two ways. One way, come out like it was motivation. They're going to prove the entire world wrong. Watch this. Or they could have came out, tentative, playing cautious, worried about losing, and that is not what happened. They came out on fire, ready to make a point, and they did.
You know what else? They looked fresh.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't
did.
have to play in the Big Ten championship game because they lost that game to Michigan.
Good point.
And
They
they looked
did.
fresh and they looked faster than Tennessee on both sides of the ball.
Hey, they look like the best team in the country.
No doubt. I mean, there was no one in college football was beating Ohio State on Saturday night. No
If
one.
they play
Even
like that, they will dog walk Oregon.
I did think they were tempting the football gods when they came out in all red. I was like, wait a second.
What are we
Biggest game,
doing?
home playoff game, and you're going all scarlet? What are we doing? Where are the gray pants? But
What?
hey, what do I know? They clearly loved the all red. That was Ohio State's best is better than everyone else's best. When they are clicking, I think when you just look up and down their roster, you look at their starters on both sides of the ball, they got the best team if they're at their best.
If
Now,
they play like that, now, I mean, can you replicate that? Can you carry that type of energy in? Um, can you continue to win the line of scrimmage like they did? Uh, it, it's going to get tougher. I mean, Tennessee's a really good football team, but I there was plenty of people had them picked to win this game, but I don't know that anyone had Tennessee picked to go win a national championship.
no,
You know,
I hadn't
so
seen anyone do that.
the tests are going to be more difficult. But if they can replicate that, Will Howard 24 of 29 for 311 and 2 touchdowns, that'll do.
He was fantastic.
Fantastic.
The only there were some positive things for Tennessee in the game. I thought Nico had some moments, but really the only great thing was how many Tennessee fans were able to get a ticket. That was impressive as hell. There was
Yeah.
a lot of orange in there, but it ended up not mattering at all.
You know the biggest thing about this game that stood out to me?
How cold it looked.
No. How familiar Tennessee's offense looked. No intermediate passing game at all. Pressed at the line of scrimmage, challenged at the line of scrimmage, and there's nowhere to go with the ball, and you're reduced to the quarterback keeping it and running for it. That is what our offense has looked like for the past couple of years.
What? No.
Yes. I think it's a flaw in that offense. I do.
It did not look good. They couldn't run it at all. All their rushing yards came in garbage time.
Yep.
And Dylan Sampson was out. That was clearly a massive deal. And I would assume that was deflating for that team as a whole.
Sure.
It's like, damn it, we don't have our dude at running back. Like
Yep.
that affects you. It does. But Ohio State was just, I mean, they were just at a different level than Tennessee.
Bully ball. Yep. It
How about
was
Oregon? Number one seed, and you get Ohio State coming off their best performance of the season. Sure. Sure. What a great advantage for the number one seed. Sure.
just incredible. That there as soon as they saw that opening drive, Dan Lanning was like, "This is bullshit."
Especially when you consider like Penn State gets Boise State,
Yep.
Texas gets Arizona State, and Oregon is sitting there, the number one seed, going, oh, we get Ohio State. Awesome. This is this is totally how this should work.
Oregon would rather play anyone else left in the tournament, Georgia included, I'm sure.
Oh, Georgia's starting quarterback's out. Yes, they would pick
Yeah.
Ohio State. You're absolutely right, Ted. Ohio State, if Oregon got to pick, if I got my way and you went through the first round and then, hey, Oregon, the one seed, they get to pick their opponent and then you go down the list. And that's how we do this thing. It'd be wildly entertaining. ESPN, do it. Be awesome. Ohio State would undoubtedly be the last team on the list that Oregon would pick.
That's right.
No doubt.
No doubt.
And that's who they're playing. Congratulations on the bye.
Good luck. Good
I
luck. That'll be a fun game, though.
Oh, it's gonna be
Rematch.
awesome. One last question before we move on to Clemson, Texas. If Jeremiah Smith could come out this season after his true freshman year Top 10, top 15, top 5.
I'm drawing a blank right now on who the top receivers coming out are going to be.
Well,
It doesn't
how
feel
could
like
you
a huge
forget that Travis Hunter won the Biletnikoff,
right, but
which he actually was really good.
it doesn't feel like a huge year for wide receivers.
I
So
think he'd be a top 10 pick at the very least. I think he would probably be the first wide receiver off the board.
yeah,
The dude is a mutant.
especially building off of that performance. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to argue.
Now, the Ohio State faithful are going to take care of that young man for 2 more years, no doubt in my mind.
You're gonna have to.
But this is one of those situations where I I don't think Jeremiah Smith needs to play another year of college football. I just don't think he does. Let him go. Figure it like make a committee, an advisory board, like group of decision makers that these are just rare occasions, right? Let him go. That guy should not be playing for $1 million or whatever next year. That guy should be making big time money. He's that good.
It's true. Now, there is, I don't know, call it a gentleman's agreement between the NFL and college football. The NFL, it's the NFL's rule, right?
Yes.
And very easily the NFL could say, yeah, let's do away with that. If these guys are ready to play, they can be draft eligible whenever they want. That is a decision that college football does not want to have happen. They do not want the NFL coming in and plucking their superstars after one season. They want to be able to profit off of those guys playing college football. Just call it how it is, right? So while I totally agree with what you're saying, I don't foresee that happening unless college football somehow starts to piss off the NFL by letting college football players play for 10 years and
Which
drying up their talent pool.
do you see our man Diego Pavia winning?
Yes, I
He's
did.
winning court cases, or I guess he hasn't won. It's
That's
what
why I referenced it.
Yeah. I told you it was coming, and I told you it should be Pavia, and boom, nailed
Hey,
it.
do not piss off the NFL, though. That's the last thing you want to do to where they say, you know what, let's just take all the talent from college football. I know all those guys want to hang around and play. We'll just poach the really good ones early.
We'll just take Jeremiah Smith now. Thank you very much. I would like to see him playing in the NFL next year. Maybe I would feel very differently if I was an Ohio State fan.
I was about to say, since he's an Ohio State player, I totally agree with what you're saying. However,
He
should
definitely should go. And
should
all of
that guy play
Texas's
on our
guys
team?
too. Send the ball.
Yep, that's right.
Speaking of Texas, best game, most competitive game,
Best game.
best game,
Yep.
38-24 win for the Longhorns over Clemson. And Clemson got my attention early with that first drive.
Yes, they did.
12 plays, 75 yards, nearly 7 minutes off the clock. And I was like, okay, maybe we've got ourselves one here. But it really was. Texas never felt threatened because Clemson just could not stop their running game.
No, that was the story.
Like even when it felt a little interesting when Clemson cut it to 7 early in the fourth quarter, that's when Jaden Blue goes 77 yards for a touchdown.
Yep.
Texas had the big goal line stand after that, which was, that's their defense has been very, very good against the run all season long.
Just get up there and run the sneak, please. Just get up there and run the sneak right away. Don't stand around, call a play, talk about it, change personnel. Just get up there and run the sneak. Right?
Be
What are we
too
doing?
easy.
What are we doing?
I thought Clemson represented themselves well, but I also thought it was the perfect example of the fact that Clemson's just not a lead anymore, and it's because of the way that Dabo builds the roster. Now, they have taken a couple portal guys this cycle, but Texas and what in the way that Sarkisian has built that roster is kind of the best way to do it. They have recruited really well. They have developed their players at a high level, and then they have filled some gaps and added talent through the portal. Mm-hmm. Dabo and Clemson, they have not done it that way. And you got to remember, Wisner was like their fourth string back to start the year. And now the dude is an absolute problem.
Yeah. Well,
so that's just Texas they've done a really nice job of building that roster. Right? Cam Williams goes down. Jake Majors, takes the blindside block, doesn't play the rest of the game. They move some guys around. Cole Hudson comes in at left guard. Left guard moves to center. They bring their backup who filled in for Banks in the SEC championship game when he went down. He went to right tackle, and they kept running the absolute hell out of it.
Yeah. 48 for 292, 4 touchdowns on the ground.
Ooh.
That's tough.
Outside
Clemson,
zone.
on the other hand, 24 for 76. Not going to get it done.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with Maffa, but what did he have? 2 carries?
Yep. He had 2 carries. Yep.
And if you're a Clemson fan, maybe you go, hey, that pick 6 coming off the board. That was a huge play. Who knows how the game unfolds? If that doesn't happen, come on. Texas just they were a better team.
Yeah, they were.
Clemson just didn't have
the horses.
And it's weird to think that they didn't have the horses on the defensive side of the ball. With what they've been for so long, how many guys they've put in the league, especially along the defensive line, and Texas's patchwork offensive line pushed them around.
They had, which, credit to Blue and to Wisner, but dude, some of those were so blocked up. Just no one home.
Can you imagine how, the emotions that were going through my body as Texas was ripping off just massive chunk outside zone runs? I was feeling this joy, but also this disgust all at one time. And my body was really confused.
Yeah.
Because it was Texas doing it. And I hated it, but I loved it. My body was I was basically, it was like mental warfare on myself. I don't know if that happens to other people when you watch football. It happens to me, but I was just like, oh God, it's so good, but this sucks. Their outside zone stuff, their counter stuff, their pin pull stuff, everything was working. Man, they were gashing them.
I love how they get the tight end involved. Gunnar Helm had another nice night. He was their leading receiver, had the touchdown in the back of the end zone, which was a hell of a catch. He was great.
They've developed players really well.
Yep.
Remember, they lost when they lost JT Sanders last year. He goes and gets drafted. It's like, oh, how are they going to fill that void? Well, Helm's a better player than he is.
Yep.
He's a better overall tight end. He's going to get drafted higher. He may be their best player.
He's legit.
He's legit. And
legit, and all their big wide receivers made big plays, nice catches.
Ewers managed the game. He made the layups. Didn't make any, the interception that he had was not his fault at all.
Yep.
Had the really nice red zone throw to Helm for the touchdown. But other than that, he just didn't do anything stupid with the ball, spread the ball around, and played a nice game. I actually thought Cade Klubnik was really good.
I did too. He, considering not having a run game to speak of and playing from behind, I thought he did some really good stuff. He battled, laid it all out on the line in some of the run game stuff, and yeah, he was solid. But Texas looked really good.
They look really good, and they have opened as 13.5-point favorites over Arizona State.
And they're playing close to home.
Excuse me. It has now moved to 14. So that is that's the game in Atlanta, right?
I
Peach
thought
Bowl.
that one was in Arlington. I could be wrong on that.
No, they get the Peach Bowl.
Okay.
Arizona State's in the Peach Bowl. Got Ohio State, Oregon in the Rose. Notre Dame, Georgia is the Sugar Bowl. And then Penn State, Boise is the Fiesta Bowl.
Gotcha.
So Cotton not in the rotation
There you
yet.
go. There you go.
I could have just completely messed that up, but I'm reading straight off the app. So
I'll take the app
reading's
for
not my strength. Anybody that watches this knows that. I do think Texas, Cam Williams, that situation did not look good. I mean, he was having to get helped off the field. And he has gotten so much better throughout the season. I hated seeing that. Guy was probably going to be a first rounder. So I don't hopefully it's not that bad for him. And then Jake Majors,
you. His was weird. I couldn't figure out what happened with his. Guy
are,
looked like he.
are you joking?
Am I thinking of the wrong guy? Maybe I just didn't.
He's the one that got decleated on the pick six that got called back because he got decleated.
Yeah, but okay. But what did it look like? What the injury was?
I my guess is something with his head.
Did he get hit in the head?
No, but his head hit the ground hard. It's dude, it's not getting hit in the head, it's that whiplash, man. And he
Yeah,
got smoked.
that was a
With
big call in the
big
game.
call. I whether you like it or not, that's the rule now.
Yep.
It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, he didn't play the rest of the game, so he's got time. He's got time to pass all the tests and get back there on the field. He's been a really good player for him. I mean, you think about Cam Williams and Jake Majors, the tackle group for the draft and the center group for the draft. Those guys are definitely in the top four of their positions.
Yeah.
They're good players, really good
Very
players.
solid. Very
So,
solid.
so we'll see, but we'll see what Scadaboo can do, man. I'm pumped. That's gonna be. I hope that ends up being more interesting than we think.
I do too. I do too.
All right, let's recap the other two just riveting first round games for the college football playoff. But first,
Insurica's launched a new digital agency introducing Insurica Direct. Whether you're in Oklahoma or anywhere across the U.S., they've got you covered. From small business insurance and health insurance for your employees to insurance for individuals like home, auto, and even Medicare supplements. Insurica Direct's got it all. Start your journey today at insuricadirect.com. Remember, at Insurica, we specialize in you.
and head to opolisclothing.com for our podcast merchandise and the best OU gear out there. That's OPOLIS clothing.com and use promo code TED, TED for 10% off. That's opolisclothing.com. Promo code TED for 10% off. Buttery soft and 10% off.
And Lucy Breakers are 100% pure nicotine pouches with an extra burst of flavor. And you can get them delivered right to your front door. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown at checkout for 20% off your first order. That's lucy.co. Use promo code breakdown. My go-to Lucy Breakers are the 8 milligram espresso. Just like to pop it in on a nice long drive. But I know that some of you guys like some of the other ones, but that's my go-to. Lucy Breakers, they come in a variety of flavors, including the classics like mint, but they've also got berry citrus, my favorite espresso, and mango. You can even set up a subscription to make things even more convenient. Level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co and use promo code breakdown for 20% off your first order. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Indiana went to South Bend and didn't go so well for the Hoosiers.
Nope, did not.
Final score ended up being respectable, 27-17. Anyone that watched the game knows it wasn't that close. But I will say, the Friday night standalone game, that was awesome.
It was great. I loved
I
the
was a
build-up
huge
to it.
fan of that.
I watched all the pregame stuff. Yeah, that was really good.
And
Got to
then Notre
watch
Dame went up.
Alabama Jones get made fun of in front of a national audience and just absolutely refuse to take the joke. It was great.
Amazing content. But talking about the game, Shane Gillis is so funny, by the way.
That was great. That was great.
The Once Notre Dame went up 14-0, the game felt over to me.
Yep.
Just with how Indiana has struggled when they've played really good teams, how they've struggled offensively, that just felt like a massive, massive hole for them. And hey, usually if a team rips off a 98-yard touchdown run at any point in the game, they got a great chance of winning the game.
That was equal parts awesome and brutal because when it happened, you knew the game was over, right? It's just, well, that's at least what it felt like. It's like, well, that was that.
Indiana's whole thing's supposed to be their rush defense.
I know it. Wide
And
open.
there
Free.
goes Jeremiah Love. That guy can run.
Yeah. That was
But
impressive.
it felt like that Indiana offense was just constantly in third and long. Just too many obvious passing situations. Thought Notre Dame's defense did a really nice job of making Rourke uncomfortable back in the pocket. And I will give Indiana some credit for making it a little interesting at the end, but it really did feel like Notre Dame was in control this entire game. And it
Yep.
sounded like that sounded like a fun environment. That thing sounded loud. I thought that I thought that was a great start to the weekend, even though the game really wasn't that good.
Yep. It wasn't. It was, I thought Notre Dame, like the way their defense played, the pressure they had on Rourke, and how well they covered those receivers. I mean, Indiana's got a really good offense. They're used to, operating very efficiently in the passing game, and they just struggled to get anything going. Couldn't get the run going hardly at all. It took them a while before they started to hit some big plays, but yeah, I mean, it was like for me, I love to root for the underdogs. It was like it became very apparent very quickly that okay, well, you know, this one is give credit to Notre Dame. They are a very good, well balanced team. Are they explosive enough? Is the
No,
question for me.
no. That was my takeaway from the game. Notre Dame's a really good team. I, I think they can beat Georgia, but they can't win it all. Especially like you and I felt that way Friday night after that game before I saw Ohio State play. And that really reinforced my feeling of like, hey, Notre Dame's really good, but things just do not come easy enough to them offensively.
Right. Yep, I agree.
It
It's a good
feels
way to
like they
put
got to
it.
work really, really hard. And you look at Ohio State and Texas and Oregon, all the playmakers that Dylan Gabriel has, like I just think it's too much of a struggle for them to produce explosives in the passing game. I don't think they're good enough everywhere else to go win a title. And I don't think anyone expects them to, but they're in the final eight. I don't think that I don't think they have a chance to be the last man standing, if you will.
I don't. I guess you never know how the matchups unfold. I mean, I guess if I think that they would match up decently with Texas. Um, I feel like the matchup, whether it's Oregon or Ohio State, is where you really feel like they would struggle. Like the Georgia matchup is okay for them. Georgia's not super explosive on offense, especially without Beck. And I think although Texas ran the ball like crazy all over Clemson, they wouldn't do that to Notre Dame. Um, but I I I don't know. It's hard to say. You just got to see how things unfold, but really solid day from them.
I know a lot of people are saying Did Indiana belong? Who'd they beat? Listen, they were in 11-2 in year one under Signetti. That guy talks a lot of noise. And I do think it makes it a little, all of the things that he says, it makes it a little more difficult to root for them like as an underdog. I don't know if he's helping himself there. He probably doesn't care.
Right.
But I think Indiana and what they do, like how they build off of this, I think it's one of the most interesting stories in college football over the next 3 or 4 years.
I agree. I agree. But yeah, I don't know. It's the one thing about the playoff that I don't like, and I know it's just how it's going to be in college football, is after a game, the debate turns to whether or not they should have been in. It's just such a weird deal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. I guess that's just how it's always going to be. That's part of it.
We've had first round blowouts since this thing started.
I, exactly.
I, Lane Kiffin was just on one tweeting though. And yes, do I think Ole Miss could have beaten Notre Dame? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Do I think would I have rather have watched that game? Yes. But they lost 3 games.
They lost to Florida at the end of the year, so sorry about your luck.
Yeah.
Go beat Florida and you're in. Don't worry
Don't
about
lose to Kentucky.
it. Don't lose to Kentucky at home.
That's it. It's not a perfect system, but the wins and losses still have to matter somewhat.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. Last game, saying that perfect segue into this game. Penn State dismantled SMU. Kind of.
SMU dismantled SMU.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't throw it to the other team. I mean, Penn State wins the game 38-10. Ted, turnovers are killers. Turnovers for touchdowns are catastrophic.
Yeah, turnovers, throwing it to a defender squarely in the chest, like that. It was just all around bad. There was no way they could recover from how they started. Just no way.
I will defend Kevin Jennings on the first one. I was furious on my couch. The center and the left guard just let the D tackle go. He rushes straight to their quarterback, gets in his face. Jennings panics, throws one high, pick six. Hey, guys, someone block the defensive tackle, please. What are we doing? How does that happen? The second one was what he just did he not see him? Because that looked as bad as it possibly could look. It looks like he threw it right to him on purpose. That's how it looks.
I'm watching the highlight right now. I mean, there's a receiver somewhere behind him, but I mean, he just threw it right to him. I mean, straight up threw it right to the guy. The guy made a hell of a run.
Oh, Rojas's return was sweet. Just a couple jukes in there.
But the 3 interceptions were just killers, and you know, they did a good job. They turned it over. They were deep in their territory. They had a chance to go punch it in. And was it the very next play they turned it over? You know, it's like, okay, here's their chance to get back in the game, and turnover. Brutal.
I appreciated Penn State kind of snowballing that whole thing after the third interception because I got some chores done in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, what else? I feel like that was the part everyone was like, okay, it's 28-0 at the half. This thing's over. Let's get some things checked off the old Christmas to-do list. That's right where I went into that mode immediately at halftime of that game.
Frustrating. Yeah. Because, you know, the night before you had the Indiana Notre Dame game that even though they made it interesting late was a bit of a disappointment. And then the way that this one started early, it's like, oh my gosh. Like to me, it was like I wanted to see a bunch of good games, but it was also like I don't want the whole thing coming out of this weekend to be like how do we pick the teams and these teams shouldn't have been there. It's just exhausting, you know? So that was what was frustrating to me.
If that's what you wanted to avoid, the first two games couldn't have gone any worse for you.
Could not have.
Well, I
They
guess
could.
Indiana, it would the final score not that bad.
Yeah, the problem is nobody was left watching it at that point. No,
Fair enough.
no one remembers that the final score ended up being what it was.
But I did go and watch the second half highlights because I'm a professional. Penn State just ran the hell out of it.
Yep,
Felt bad for Kevin Jennings, man.
it was tough
Those were some horrible, horrible mistakes with the football.
and impossible to recover on the road, and being an underdog like they are, they had to go out and play the perfect game and maybe even have some bounces go their way. But when it started the way it did, just because they showed a couple of signs early, like they hit
It
on a
looked,
couple of
dude, it
plays.
looked pretty evenly matched, especially at the line of scrimmage early in that game. I was like,
Yep.
okay, okay. And then the pick
Turnover.
sixes were just
What are you going to do?
horrible,
Yep.
hard to bounce back from. And they did not bounce back from it.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
Any overall feelings, overall, like your number one overall thought after the first round?
Immediate reaction, Ohio State, if they play that Ohio State team that we saw is the team to be in the tournament. That Ohio State team, if they replicate that, that's the team to beat, in my opinion. We'll see how bad the injuries affect Texas. Like who knows, what's going to be, what the final verdict is on losing a couple of offensive linemen. That could be a factor. And Notre Dame completely solid all the way around. And I, if Penn State plays the way they did on the line of scrimmage, it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, for Boise. You know, if you can shut down the run with them, you have a really good chance to beat them, and that plays right into maybe the best strength of Penn State's team.
Penn State opened as a 10.5 point favorite.
Fair.
Yep. So we'll see. It wasn't a great first weekend, but it was still I think my number one takeaway, my number one thought after round one is give me more home playoff games.
1,000%.
Those environments looked awesome.
All of them. All of them, without exception.
And it's
Even
not
Tech.
going to be the same. When we go to the Rose Bowl and you go to the Fiesta Bowl, it's just not going to be the same.
Which is good. I want people to see the difference between the two.
Give me more home playoff games,
Yep.
especially where people just look like they're freezing their asses off.
Yep. Do you think like Texas, they had the win over Clemson, and then they've got Arizona State, and like Penn State has Boise. Do you think a lot of people don't go to those games because they think, well, we're going to win, and I've got to it's hard to go to all of them just cost wise. Those are not cheap tickets. Those are not cheap trips. I mean, it's not like playing in your home stadium. It'd be one thing if they were playing again and up, at home where you could get all those people to go, but that has to be there has to be an effect there, right?
You would think, but like Penn State's a massive school with a massive alumni base.
That's true.
I just but I do think that the people that run the college football playoff, if all of a sudden you start seeing thousands of empty seats in these neutral site second round games, then you start looking at going, huh,
Yeah.
is this really the best way to do it?
And those home sites all hold way more people.
Well, the Big Ten ones, yeah.
Right.
But you got to remember, if it was home in the quarterfinals, they'd be playing in Boise on
Right.
the Smurf turf.
True.
That'd be tough on the eyes. You'd be getting Texas would love to go to Tempe. That'd be a very pleasant experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. All I know is I enjoyed watching it. The games weren't great, but I watched pretty much, except for that second half of the Penn State SMU game. I watched pretty much every down of all of them.
I did too.
They got us. Damn it.
It was good. It was good. Could have been better, but it was good. The environments was what made it still worth hanging around for.
Oregon, Ohio State maybe kind of feels like the national championship game. Maybe that's too extreme, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Ryan Day, if he went and won a national championship, he earns the right to let everyone know about it, right?
Absolutely. All the people that are like, oh, they'd rather beat Michigan than win a national title. No, they wouldn't. I hate, why do people say that? People, oh, I'd rather beat Texas than win the national title. Shut up. What? No.
Because it's what you say, like whenever you're not playing in the like about to play in a national championship game, you know?
It's
It's
like, no, I want to win the national title. If you could have told me, hey, you're going to lose to Texas, you're going to get destroyed, but you're going to win a national title, wouldn't even think twice. Yeah, give me the national title, bud.
yep.
What are we even? It's one of the dumbest things I think people say. Like, oh, no, 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 you got to beat your rival, or else the national title just it doesn't feel the same. Shut up. Doesn't make sense. It's
No.
a national title is a national title. Bottom line,
Bottom line.
what would you know about a national title?
Didn't lose to Texas that year though. That's how
Nice.
you really do it. You win both. Stomp a mud hole in your rival and then go win the whole thing.
Yeah, we get it. Awesome. Good for you. Good for you. Never even got to play for one.